Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pitchfork Fiber Podcast. My name's Hunter, I'll be your host today, and this is episode 9. Thank you so much if you are coming back to watch again, and if you're new, thank you for checking us out. If you like us, don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active, at Pitchfork Fiber, and I like to post pretty much every day on either on the story or an actual post, so I love Instagram, so that's where you should follow me. But as you can see, I'm in a new location. I'm so excited. I'm here in Chicago. Finally, I've moved in. I'm still, kind of working out some new stuff. I have some things that I'm still trying to put up on the walls and getting things a little bit more organized. But for the most part, I am situated here in my nice studio. I have some beautiful natural lighting, and I'm just I'm really excited to be here. But I have a ton to talk about today, and I've actually already done this podcast once before, and it went way too long, and it just wasn't really working. But in that time, I actually finished another object, kind of. So the first finished object I have are my socks, my Valentine's Day socks. Yes, that's correct, my Valentine's Day socks. Yeah, well, I finally finished them, and here they are. They look really awesome. I love the way they turned out. I love the colors. They're these beautiful kind of lavender, kind of muted pinks with bright pops of fuchsia and kind of yellows and greens and bits of orange and red. This colorway is called, first of all, this is Long Dog Yarns. This is the sock base, which is 80% superwash wool, 20% nylon, 357 yards, and this is the Summer Bouquet colorway. And these turned out really awesome. I just did a toe-up sock, a fish lips kiss heel, and then a 1x1 rib at the top with this Judy's surprisingly stretchy cast off. And I really like them. They are a little bit tighter, I'd say around the top of my foot. And I also think that I knit these out quite a little bit tighter but also I think it's because if you noticed, I said 357 yards per 100 grams. This is a little bit thicker of a yarn, and I think that with the tight gauge, it actually made a little bit of a denser fabric, so it isn't quite as stretchy, so it's a little bit tighter. But I love the fabric, but I also only had a little bit of yarn left at the end. I only had this much yarn left when I was done with my socks, and I normally have much more left when I'm done with a pair of socks. But I guess it just wasn't as much as I thought. Normally there's well into the 400 yards of yarn, but for 100 grams for fingering weight, but still love them. So yay, I have a pair of socks. I really got my sock mojo back. It's really just those first few, if you do toe-up socks, it's that first few wraps, and then you start knitting them, and it's really only like 5 minutes of kind of fiddly work, and then it's just smooth sailing from there. But that really is what kind of turns me off to starting a sock, which is so silly because it's literally 5 minutes. But I have gotten my sock mojo back, and I've actually started another sock, which you will see in a moment. But yeah, so yay, one pair done. The next finished object that I will show you, well, it's finished but not 100% finished, but it's pretty finished, is this bad boy. Yep. Isn't it just so beautiful? Okay, so this is my Let me get the front. Let me make sure I got the front. Okay. This right here is my dotted rays. And this is a pattern by Stephen West. And I've since finished and blocked it. So it's just so beautiful, and it blocked out really wonderfully. It's pretty big. It's about a little bit longer than my arm width, but this is made out of Madeline Tosh in her DK twist. And right here is what I have left. I used 2 skeins of this in this DK weight, and this is what I have left. And basically what I was doing was I hadn't knit on this for a while since I had moved here. I didn't really knit on this just because it was kind of, I don't know, big, and I didn't really have time, and so I just kind of picked it up one day and started knitting, and I got pretty far, and then I realized, like, this is supposed to be growing and it's not really growing, and I because the pattern is paid for, so I won't give anything away, but at some point you're supposed to increase, and I wasn't increasing, so I ripped it out and kind of redid that part. And then by the time I got back to where I was before, I was like, I'm gonna finish this little wedge and I'm gonna be done. And I think that was a good choice, because I already have made this year my shockwave shawl, which was 10 feet long. Yeah, 10 feet long. I already made that. So I don't really need another ginormous shawl or a scarf. So I decided to make this one a little bit smaller, and then it was perfect because after blocking it came out just a little bit bigger. So it's just enough to wrap around the neck one time, like kind of like this, and and have a good leftover. But it's it's really like, it's perfect for this, and I have enough left over to to do something with a hat or use in something else. But I'm really, really, really happy with the way it came out. I just love the colors. I used the Madeline Tosh for the really bright color, and then I used for the blue, I used my own hand-dyed, indigo-dyed yarn, just that I had made last year in indigo bat. But yeah, so that's done. I just have to weave in all the ends, which I just haven't done yet, but I have a finished shawl. It's so nice. And I was a little worried that it was going to be, when I blocked it, it was going to get too stretched out. Like, it was a really nice material and really squishy before it was blocked. But after it blocked, it maintained that squishiness. It's just a little bit flatter. And I think that's like all I wanted, was it just to be a little bit flatter. And the eyelets in the pattern opened up really pretty. So those really, you can really see those come out really well. You can see in like that. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. So I'm gonna just put it back here to display while I talk to you all, because I love it. Because I love it so much. But okay, so that is done. I'm really happy with that. But since I've had the really big shawl, shockwave shawl, blanket. I mean, it's so big, I could call it a blanket. Since I finished that and then this, I think that's enough for shawls at the moment. So I have some other plans of what I'm doing. But then I also have let's move on to works in progress. I have one work in progress at the moment. And I'm so sorry, I'm literally in the middle of a row of turning the heel. Oops, I didn't really think about this. Oh well, let me just get untangled. But backstory to this project. First of all, it's living in my handmade bag that I made with my own hand waxed canvas, which I really love. I just love this bag so much. It's perfect size for for just one sock, but I also am holding in a lot of scraps in this one, so it fits perfectly. And I love the wax canvas because it's really sturdy, and it just looks really cool. But I was heading to Milwaukee for a friend's kind of get together this past weekend, and I needed something to work on, and I wasn't gonna take my my dotted rays, so I kind of thought, what can I make? So I don't have any like one skeins of sock yarn that I could start a sock with in my stash, and all I had was scraps. So I'd gone to a yarn store downtown when I was just downtown in Chicago, and I kind of looked around and didn't really see anything, so I ended up coming back and just thinking, I'm gonna throw all my scraps together and just make a scrappy sock. And that's what I've done so far. I have normally I have quite a bit left over from a sock, so it was enough to like do quite a bit of it. But the colors that I'm working with are, let me see if I have the other bit of yarn in here. Where did it go? Oh, I must have put it away. Well, I have this yarn, which was some hand-dyed yarn that I dyed up for a little flax sweater for someone, a little baby. And this is just really beautiful blues and greens, bright pops of kind of like chartreuse. And then I have this colorway, which is, oh, here it is, which is a Halloween colorway that I made Halloween socks out of, bright fluorescents, orange, greens, purple, black. I have this, I believe it's Malabrigo, in kind of a bluish gray stone colors with pops of kind of tan and fawn and some pretty browns. And then I have this just like, I don't remember, I got it at Joann's or Michael's, and it's just a patterns or something like that, blues and bits of kind of gray and greeny browns. So those are the colors I'm using, and so far I have this much done. I have the toe, which is in the kind of blue hand dyed one, and then I have the foot is going to be in the Halloween colorway, and then the heel again is in this blue colorway, and then the leg is going to be done in this Malabrigo. And then I want to hopefully have enough to finish the ribbing. So I want to do the cuff, the heel, and the toe all in the blue to kind of pull it all together if I can. But I might not have enough, so I want to just kind of play it by ear. But yeah, oh no, no, I just pulled this right off. Okay, give me a second. Sorry, I just pulled off some of my stitches, and that kind of scares me, especially when I'm doing the heel turn. But so I have that done, and that's in progress. And I've really I just really have only been working on that a little bit. I started it on the train on my way to Milwaukee and got some good progress, and now I'm just working on that. And I love having just a sock on the go. It's super easy, and I just kind of do it when I'm watching TV or whatever. So yay for another sock on the go. I want to show you, that's all I have knitting, but I also have another kind of finished object that I thought I'd talk about with you really quickly. And that is, I had a person on Instagram I had a lovely person on Instagram message me about commissioning them to make a project bag for them. And they had seen me on the podcast and working with this bag, my beer project bag that I made a few years ago. And they wanted me to make them one. And so basically when I made that project bag, it was really only because I didn't have a project bag and I just threw it together. I used not really the appropriate interfacing, and it was just kind of thrown together, and it doesn't really matter because it still works. But when I made this person's, I wanted to put in a little extra time and effort into making it a little bit more professional and kind of clean. So this is what I have. and it's the same fabric as mine. I did a really pretty contrasting blue zipper and a lovely kind of yellow orange inside color for the lining. I also added a little tab or key ring kind of hold right here, and then a big thing that I added was a little tag logo for my logo for Pitchfork Fiber. And I had these made, and I don't know if I've ever explained to you guys what the logo actually is, but if you look, this center kind of line right here is actually a needle, a knitting needle, and then over here of course is the pitchfork of the pitchfork. So it's like a knitting needle and a pitchfork, so that's what that is. But I made him this. I really am proud of this. It's really nicely made. I also hand stitched the lining on the inside, so there's no really seams that are kind of popping out at the bottom. And this person had to wait a little while for me to make this, just because with the move and everything, it was crazy. So I decided to just kind of throw in an extra little something. And this is a little notions pouch that I made to go along with the purchase. And I also included my tag, and then this fabric is just some really awesome like dudes in glasses and beards and mustaches, which I just think is, you know, quite fitting. But I bought this fabric. I went to Oak Fabrics, which is in like it's in like another kind of neighborhood of Chicago, and they have a lovely range of kind of unique fabrics that you wouldn't necessarily see in a Joann's or something like that. And I just loved this fabric, so I got a little bit. I included some yellow top stitching to kind of accent the tag, and I also have the yellow lining on the inside, and a nice zipper. So that's gonna just go in with this. So yeah, that's gonna be shipped out very soon to a lovely person. So thank you so much. And if any of you want, you know, project bags or little notions bags, I am so willing to work with you. Just direct message me on Instagram. That's the best place to contact me, and then we can just kind of work out what you want there. I really enjoy sewing and making stuff, so I'd be more than willing to do so. So yeah, let me know if you want anything. That's pretty much all that I've been working on. I thought I would just kind of move into another section where I talk about what I want to make, and a few, either last episode or the episode before, we kind of chatted about a sweater that I wanted to make, and I guess it's kind of changed since then. Excuse me, I'm drinking some iced coffee out of this beautiful handmade beer stein that I love to use just for water and coffee. This is way too much for a normal cup of coffee, but iced coffee, it's okay. It's a beautiful, they have some beautiful slip designing on it, and the inside is like a lovely brighter color, so it's really fun. I bought this at like a craft market from a lovely potter, and I love it so much. Anyways, the story of kind of how I came to this realization of wanting to knit this sweater was when I went to the yarn store. So I had a little bit of time before I had to take the train to Milwaukee, and I was downtown already, and I thought I wanted to check out this yarn shop that's just downtown, and I haven't been to it, and it's right kind of where I kind of transfer from one train to the next normally. So I thought I might as well kind of check it out. And this place is called Yarnify. It's at the corner of, I believe, Polk Street and Dearborn in downtown Chicago. and it's right off of the Red Line if you take the L train, but it was really easy to get to, and they have a beautiful storefront. There's a ton of stuff inside. Like, there's a lot of yarn. I was a little bit not disappointed, but I went there looking for fingering weight sock yarn, and when I went, I found a lot of super luxurious yarns that were made out of really luxurious blends and things that weren't really going to be useful for socks. And also within the price range, they had a lot of like beautiful $30 and $40 skeins of yarn. They also had some like Cascade and some other things, but not really what I was looking for when it came to that like middle ground fingering weight sock yarn. And so a lot of other shops around Chicago are kind of more heavily geared towards that area of yarn. So I thought it was just a little bit different. But I was walking around, and after I didn't really see any sock yarn, I kind of was like, I'm gonna just head out because I need to get going. But there was a basement, and I was like, wait, this is a huge store. Like, for a yarn store, it was really big. And then they had a really wonderful place to knit, a big table that there was quite a few people just chatting, and everyone was so friendly. But I went, downstairs, and it's a spiral staircase. So spiral staircases are like, I don't know, if you have one in a place, I'm just like, ooh, I like it. I like them so much. It just makes me like the place so much more. But I go downstairs, and it was the sale items, and they had a huge section of Cascade 220 heathers that they were on sale, buy two get one free. And I was like, ooh. And I'd been kind of wanting to play around with some Cascade just because it's affordable, and being a grad student, I kind of need to have, I want to make things, but I don't necessarily have the budget to be using all the yarn that I want to make. So Cascade's a great place where it's still really like nice, soft, and durable yarn, but it also isn't excessively pricey. So I went down there and I was looking, and I found a colorway that just kind of spoke to me, and this colorway always kind of speaks to me. It's this like mustard yellow, more on the brown and green side than the bright yellow side, and whenever I see a project and I see someone's knit it in this kind of color, I'm automatically like, oh, I want it. And so I was kind of looking at, because it was buy two get one free, I was thinking maybe I could knit a hat or some glove, like do some Fair Isle work or color work, but there was nothing that really contrasted with the color very well. So I ended up just buying 3 of the same color, and the yarn is Cascade, let me get it all organized, the Cascade 220 heathers, and this colorway is color 9564, which is the birch heather colorway. And it's like a golden mustard, Dijon mustard. It's so beautiful, and I just love it. And it has that really awesome heathered effect with the darker browns bits and some lighter green bits. So I just really like this yarn. So I went online to Ravelry, as one does, and searched, and this is one reason why I love Ravelry, but I searched by the yarn and projects that people had made out of this colorway. And it's something I always love to do, just to see kind of how it knits up, and is it going to be, is one of the attributes going to be, that it looks really great with a textured pattern or a cable, or does it look really nice as a pop in some color work or whatever. So I kind of like that tool on Ravelry a lot. And I was looking at different projects, and I found this one project, and I kid you not, I literally stopped and was like, that's what I'm making. Like, I didn't even hesitate. I was like, that's what I'm gonna make. This pattern, like, and this color and the yarn, just everything, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. So a few episodes ago, either last one or the one before, I talked about how I wanted to really make this colorwork yoke, circular yoke sweater, and I believe it was the Gretier sweater by Jared Flood. Not really sure if it's Jared Flood, but it's the Gretier sweater. And you can just check out my last episode for that info. There's a picture there, but I really wanted to make this sweater because it was a little bit of a extension of technique. It wasn't just a plain, knit in the round sweater. It had a little bit of color work, and I wanted to definitely do some more of that. But it was something that I could kind of get quick gratification from because it was in a worsted and whatever. Well, I saw this pattern and that all flew out the window. I was like, I want to make this. It's an all over textured pattern with cables, so it's pretty intense. But I think that just the combo of the pattern and the yarn and wanting it is something that I just am like, oh my gosh, I want it. So anyways, the pattern is the Cascades sweater by Michelle Wong. And if you've seen the pattern, it actually is a woman's pattern. But as many of Michelle's patterns are, they're made with quite a bit of positive ease, which makes it pretty easily adaptable to a man's body. I also looked up some project notes, and a lot of people actually had adapted it by just negating the waist shaping for a man's body. So that worked out really well. And it kind of lends itself to being a unisex sweater pretty easily just by the shape and the proportions. A lot of sweaters aren't very easily translatable because of the body, the way that they're hitting, and they're meant for a woman's body, but this is definitely like something that would definitely fit a man. So I looked it up, and basically I looked at how much yarn I had, how much it called for. I went online and bought it, and it's in the mail, shipping to me as we speak. So that's really exciting. I've wanted to kind of push myself in a knitting way I think a lot of times I get, I knit just plain vanilla socks because they go quick, and I love knitting just to knit, but I also love the idea of getting something, kind of that instant gratification of seeing it grow or having an object and I like that, but I also want to push myself in the sense of I don't want to just knit the same things over and over. I want to push myself when it comes to difficulty and different techniques and trying out different patterns, because to become a better and more a better, well-rounded knitter, you have to push yourself and try new things. And so that's something that I really want to do with this sweater. It's going to be it's going to take a long time just because of the all over stitch texture. It will be, I'm not super fast when it comes to knit and purl consecutively, like one after the other, back and forth. So in like a ribbing pattern, I'm not that fast, but this gives me opportunity to get better and to get faster. So I'm so looking forward to this. And I also thought, I live in Chicago now, and it's not like I only can knit in the month of December, like in Arizona, where it's, Arizona, it's cold for a month, it's 50 to 60 degrees for 1 month, and then it gets warm again. Like, I have the whole winter and fall and even spring to be knitting like large garments. So, if this takes me a couple months to knit up, I still have a couple months of knitting another sweater that I can. And I think that with the price of this, I also got a coupon code from where I bought it from. So literally like all 8 skeins of yarn was like under $60 or something. I mean, it was like crazy, because it normally called for Brooklyn tweed, which I want to make a sweater out of Brooklyn tweed so bad. Like that's like a goal. Goals are Brooklyn tweed, and in the Hayloft colorway, like it was fate. First of all, I was looking at this colorway for a sweater, and the pattern that Michelle Wong made was made in the Hayloft colorway, which is basically identical to this. It's just, it has a little bit of a different kind of tweed pattern. But come on, it's fate. And also, like, Michelle Wong, if you're watching, which I know you probably aren't, but if you're watching, I just want to let you know that I literally fall asleep thinking about your patterns. You know you are a good knitwear designer when people like can fall asleep and dream about your patterns. Like that's basically what happened with me. Was I went to bed dreaming about knitting this sweater, and it made me fall asleep so quickly because I was just so happy. Yeah. So, Michelle, you're awesome. But I'm very excited about this, and I want to cast on pretty soon because I want to have this done to wear for the winter. So, yay! Okay. And then, talking about upcoming projects and things I want to work on has also led me into something else. I've been watching podcasts, and there's this one podcaster who I saw was wearing this hat one day, and I was like, ooh, I love that color hat, I love the pattern, or I love the colors and the kind of use of color work in with the two colors. And that made me start thinking about a hat that I wanted to make. And I kind of went on Ravelry and was looking it up, and I couldn't find anything. And I even went onto this podcaster's like project page, and they didn't have it posted. So I thought, maybe it was just kind of like a made up thing or whatever. So I thought about, I keep thinking back to this hat because I really love the color and I love the design. But I also have been thinking about, dabbling in designing. And I think that's something that I've have been interested in doing for a while, but designing larger things kind of is intimidating to me, but a hat seems more accessible when it comes to the whole designing process. It's not quite as in depth, I would say. Maybe this is like totally, I could be so incorrect, but from my standpoint, a sweater is very intimidating. It takes a long time. There's a lot of measurements and math, and with a hat, it's a little bit more, I don't know, it just seems a little bit more intuitive. But so in this process, I was thinking about wanting to knit and design, but I don't really have the money to really go through with all these knitting projects. Like buying buying lots of yarn is something that I'm not really, it's not really in my cards at the moment, just because I've started school and I'm now on my own, in this city that's really expensive, and so I've decided that maybe I'll try dabbling in a little bit more in dyeing my own yarn. And after kind of doing the research and looking at buying the materials and everything, it would end up still being a little bit cheaper if I did it myself, and then in the long run I could dye more of my own yarn and it would be a lot cheaper. And especially with trying to test things out and see if I like it or not, I don't want to spend all the money on yarn that I don't really know if it will work or not. So I went online and I kind of got some supplies. I already had a lot of the supplies though, and I already had a skein of bare yarn that I had not dyed up. Actually it was the same yarn base as the here's a scrap of it, but the blue toes and heel from my scrappy socks that I made the baby sweater out of. So I had that yarn base, and I was like, I'm gonna just dye up something just to kind of get back into it. If a lot of you may not know, but fibers and dyeing was a large portion of my undergraduate degree. I got a proficiency in fibers, and so a lot of my curriculum was based on dyeing. I'd say most of it was dyeing cotton and fabric and different surface design techniques, but that also can be applied really pretty easily to wool and yarn. So I decided to dye up a skein, and this is kind of what I came up with, or what kind of was the result. It's a dark gray yarn with pops of this kind of maroon burgundy with large speckles of brighter cayenne pepper kind of red, kind of all throughout. So it's really pretty, actually. I love the depth in the color, and this was done with different kind of layers. this is not what I was going for though. Like I thought it was going to be way more vibrant, but I think my ratios of the kind of gray threw off the other colors, but it made it a little bit more of a tonal rather than variegated. I mean, it's variegated, but it's not very heavily variegated, which is kind of what I was going for. So it kind of gave me a little bit of opportunity to experiment. And I'm thinking about, so I actually ordered some more yarn, and I'm going to be dyeing up some more yarn to maybe think about designing a hat project. And this hat project is, I want it to kind of be ready for like the holidays. My idea is kind of a holiday hat, and so I've been thinking, I have no really idea of what's going to happen, but I also thought I always could use this as like one design, and then because I want to make the hat once kind of to like figure it out, and then I'm going to probably make it again when I've written up the pattern, and then I don't know, we'll see. This is like kind of crazy that I'm going to like dabble in designing a pattern, because again, I think pushing myself knitting wise is really going to help me be more confident in other ways of knitting. Like I think I'm not confident in the fact of designing because I've not really done a lot, but that's not to say that I can't do it. And so I want to just try and see what happens. So that's a lot of talking, and I've really just, but that was a lot. This has been like weeks because of what, this has been kind of weeks in the making. So there's been a lot that's happened, and a lot to catch you up on. So that's pretty much it for the knitting and crafting, but I have a lot more I want to talk to you about, just to kind of fill you in on the last couple weeks of my life and kind of where I am. So if you are wanting to just kind of watch for the yarny goodness, then this is going to be probably it. And the rest is just going to be me kind of chatting about stuff that's happening in my personal life. But if you want to keep on joining me, please do. So I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and I just wanted to start off with saying the past 4 weeks has been so crazy with finishing up my work in Phoenix and moving, driving across the country with all of my things, trying to get settled into a big city, just getting adjusted, starting grad school, like doing a half Ironman. All this has happened within the past month. And so it's been crazy hectic, but it's kind of worked out, and everything has kind of settled in, and I'm getting in the hang of things. But I wanted to kind of talk to you about the first big milestone that I accomplished, which was the Ironman. So I have my medal right here. I want to show you. This is my medal, and it says Ironman 70 point, let me try to get this. Ironman 70.3 Ohio, July 30th, and it says down here at the bottom, 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike, and 13.1 mile run, all consecutively. So I'm really proud of this. Like, this is one of the first things I think, this is one of the first things that I think that I've really done that's took a lot, like there's so much preparation and commitment to it. And I think that was something that I really wanted to do and I was looking forward to, but I've now looking back, it was a lot. But I'm so proud that I did it. I had a little bit of a rough patch in the race. So I started out with the swim, which went so well. And the swim was an open water swim. And I finished kind of middle of the pack. And I hopped on my bike and was going. I felt great. I was like 10 miles in. I was like, wow, I definitely am feeling awesome. And then, keep going, and I'm about mile 25 to 30, and I was going through the second aid station where they hand out like water and different nutrition, and I went to kind of reach for a water bottle, kind of swerved because I missed, and then as someone was kind of coming past me, I kind of swerved to not hit them, and in doing so I kind of swerved off the road and got into that kind of gravelly burn area, and then my bike just slipped out from under me and I went flying. I kind of got disconnected from my bike and kind of flew into a ditch, and that was really startling because I just was like all of a sudden riding my bike, and then 1 second later I'm in a ditch, having to climb out on the side of the road in front of all these people, and I was pretty embarrassed. And so my first instinct was to just get up and go, and to just like get back on my bike and get going. So I kind of skipped that aid station, which kind of hurt me in the long run because I didn't have the nutrition or intake that I was supposed to be getting, because I kind of skipped it. But as I was going, I went to go back down into my arrow position, like with my kind of arms on my bike to rest them, and I realized like something was wrong with my arm. And I looked down, and like, this is kind of graphic, but all of my skin on my forearm was pretty much gone. And I guess I had kind of like, when I had fallen, I kind of threw my arm back to kind of brace myself for impact, and I skidded like all along that kind of gravel, and in doing so I was bleeding quite badly. And then also like all on my back, even though I was wearing a speed suit, like I still had scratching all down my back and on my knee. So it was really startling, and that kind of threw me off of my race mindset. And so after that, I kind of just reevaluated everything, and I just wanted to finish. It came to the run, and I was just really fatigued when it came to cramping. Like I'd kind of gotten back on my nutritional plan. I was feeling good, and I felt like I could run, but just my legs were cramping so bad that I had to kind of walk the last 8-9 miles. And that just kind of threw me off of what I was expecting, to finish time-wise and place-wise and everything. But it's one of those things that like, you're so in the moment that you just have to bounce back. You don't have time to think about, what could have happened or what would have happened. Like, you just, okay, let's move on. I need to finish, like, get to this next point in the race, get to the next mile marker, whatever it was. And I really I think that shows my mental capacity and my mental kind of toughness, that I was able to do that, because I really didn't think I could do that. It was a pretty hard crash, and so to get up and just keep going, I was really proud of myself, and I was really proud that I finished. I don't want to have that happen again, and I want to be able to finish quicker the next time, but I'm really proud of that. So that was a huge accomplishment. Another huge accomplishment was I started grad school a few days ago, and so I'm officially a graduate student, and that's also really exciting for me, because I think in my career I see myself, it's kind of been more of oh, you go to school, you do it, you get a job afterwards. But now I'm really feeling like a professional. I've gone through a lot of schooling. I feel like I am, I'm knowledgeable in my subject area. And in your undergraduate, a lot of times you're just kind of a student, and the professors are kind of above you, giving you information. But in graduate school, you're seen more as a peer with the professors. You are more of a you're more of a professional. You couldn't have gotten to where you are without your previous experiences, and they know that, so they're looking at you completely differently. And so that's something that I've been given more opportunity for future kind of conference things and writing and publications, just lots of things that are happening, which is really exciting, because before it was more of oh, I'm just a student. But now I'm a student, but I'm also an up and coming professional, and so that transition is something that is exciting, and I kind of wasn't expecting to feel like that. I don't know. So it's been a huge shift, but I'm really excited. I've started going to classes, and so far there's just a lot of reading, and I'll be doing a lot of writing soon. So, but that gives me also a lot of time to knit, which is why I'm so excited about what I have going on with my future projects and with what's going on, and just everything right now it's really exciting, because it's totally new. And so I want to hopefully get more of my walls. Right now it's really bare. I really want this to be a gallery, kind of salon style wall, where there's lots of different stuff going on. And I still have to kind of put up a light over here. So I just have more kind of getting moved in and homey things. But yeah, wow, that was a lot of stuff that I had to catch you up on. If you've lasted this long, thank you so much for staying with me, because I've just realized I've been talking, but I had a lot to get out. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope to be able to, podcast more frequently. Hopefully it's not once a month. I'd like to do it more often, but it really just depends on if I have stuff to show you. I don't want to podcast and have nothing to really show you. And I think most of you are coming here to see what I'm working on, and not just to hear about what I'm doing randomly in my life. So I will hopefully be doing more, and I love to hear from you, whether it's in comments down below on YouTube or on Instagram. I love chatting with you all, and I think it's awesome. So please keep on commenting and stuff. I love talking on YouTube, because that's where I get to kind of see what's going on. I've been really surprised with I didn't ever think people were going to watch me, and so my subscribers have been kind of going up, and I've been having more people being viewing this, and so it's kind of exciting to think that someone's actually listening to me, because I never really thought they were. I'm literally talking to myself, so it's kind of weird to think that. But I thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week ahead of you, of just making wonderful things and enjoying this kind of lovely here, at least in the Midwest, this lovely end of summer weather. So until next time, please follow me on Instagram and subscribe to me here to find out when I'm posting next. But thank you so much for joining me, and happy knitting, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.